Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a major winter storm which is currently out through parts of the western United States. It's going to be heading into the Rockies, dumping closer to 4 feet of snowfall in some of those areas in Colorado and Wyoming, and then exiting out through the northern plains and eventually into the mid-Atlantic and the northeast, where there's still a bunch of uncertainty as to what exactly will happen over that area. So we're going to be breaking it down for you guys and giving you general idea of what you should be expecting with this winter storm. We're also going to be covering the severe storms in parts of the south central part of the country at the end of today's video. We even have an enhanced risk of severe weather out for tomorrow. Here's what the current National Weather Service page looks like. We have some winter storm warnings still up for some of the higher elevations in Southern California, as well as for parts of northern Colorado, into southeastern Wyoming, and into one county in northeastern Utah. That includes parts of Denver and Cheyenne, Wyoming, as well. Some of the bigger metro areas are included within that winter storm warning. Winter storm watches in that dark blue area there for parts of Colorado, Nebraska, back through South Dakota, Wyoming, and Utah, as well as some winter weather advisories still back through Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and southern Nevada, especially in those higher elevation areas. We have red flag warnings in effect for New Mexico and a little bit of westernmost Texas, as well as some flood watches in effect for Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, and a little bit of Indiana and Kentucky as well. We have wind advisories also up for parts of southern and central New England, as well as for parts of upstate New York, northern New Jersey, and northeastern Pennsylvania. And other than that, we don't have many more watches or warnings currently up. Yesterday, the high temperature for the entire continental United States was in Zapata, Texas. They got to 94 degrees again today. Yesterday, they were also the record high temperature for the continental United States. The low temperature also in the same spot, Copper Basin, Idaho, they got to negative 15. So did Stanley, Idaho. They also got to negative 15 for the second day in a row. They were the national low temperatures. And also, the highest precipitation or rainfall report was in Appleton City, Missouri, where they got 1.92 inches of rainfall. The highest snowfall report was tied between two areas, 4 miles east-northeast of Lake Wishin, California. They got to 11.9 inches. So did 5 miles west-southwest of that area as well. They also got to 11.9 inches of snowfall. There are many reports of 10-plus inches back through into the Sierra Nevadas and into some of the higher elevations in the western United States. So just to give you generally an idea of how major the system is, I pulled up what the Denver, or I believe it's the Boulder, Colorado National Weather Service, what they're expecting on their snowfall map. And take a screenshot of this, because this is probably one of the only times that you're ever going to see them on even their high-end amount. They're putting 72 to 96 inches up for some of these areas right here. So this is definitely a big event. Now, I'm not saying that the high chance is actually going to happen. This is what their actual forecast is back here. Even their actual forecast, it's 18 to 30 inches of snowfall in most of those areas. So you can see how major this storm is going to be. I've never personally seen them putting up a 72 to 96 inch amount even on their high end forecast. So this is the first time that I've ever seen that shade of color actually be put down on a map. So definitely take a screenshot of this. This is again going to be one of the last times in quite a while they're probably going to see that high of a forecast in terms of the snowfall. And that just gives you an idea of the type of system that we're dealing with in this storm. So here's what the European model is showing. We're going to time this out for you guys, and then we're going to show you what the GFS model is showing with this event. We have your low pressure down back through Texas. That's going to be pulling in warm Gulf air from parts of the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to be pulling it up into the southern United States. On the back end of this, we have cold air being pulled down, so that's going to allow parts of the Rockies and even some of the high plains further east of there to get in on some of the snowfall. And then we also have to watch out for all of this back here. Even though it doesn't look like a lot right now, that's the upper air system that's going to be really driving what happens from basically Minnesota eastward with this system, because there's still a ton of uncertainty with that part of the system and that part of the storm. So we're going to be giving you my insight on what I think will actually happen with that. And I'm basically going to be breaking it down for you guys with the upper air pattern. So this will be by tomorrow night. We're dealing with heavy to moderate snowfall back through Colorado and Wyoming, even pushing into parts of South Dakota and Nebraska. We are dealing with severe weather back through into Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. So we want to watch out for this. It looks like a line of storms is going to be rolling through right around Sunday morning into the afternoon hours, and right around west central Texas, also into western Oklahoma, away from the Panhandle, and a bit of central Kansas as well. That looks to be the bullseye area for the severe weather event. And again, we're going to talk about that a little bit more later on in today's video. So you can see that system pushing further to the north and to the east. This would be by Monday morning. We're dealing with that low pressure back through into Oklahoma and Kansas. We have snow back through, according to the European model, through parts of South Dakota, Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, and that general area. Now, we have this big area of high pressure up to the north, which is up through the Great Lakes. We have an area of low pressure back through here into the northern and central Atlantic. So that's going to be what's bringing in that cold air and that rush of cold air that should allow maybe an onset of snow or mixed precipitation for some of these areas. The European model actually has too much cold air that it actually suppresses the system so far to the south that you really don't see too much of anything. The GFS doesn't show as robust of a high pressure, and it actually does keep in that system, but also we're not looking at anything dramatic, especially as you get into this area. It looks like mainly, if anything, 1 to 3 inches of snowfall in those areas. So this would be by Monday morning. We're dealing with snow back through into the northern plains. We have heavy snow even at times. So this would be by Monday early in the afternoon into the evening hours. That low pressure continues to head further to the east. Here's your high pressure back through here. And that's what's going to be really suppressing this further to the south. You can already see how the system is kind of slanting further to the south, which means that you do have a column of dry air right over the northeast right here. And that's going to be preventing any snowfall of significance to fall according to the European model. Again, there are many different solutions and different outcomes from the different and various. So as we continue this forward, you can see that by Tuesday morning we have some of that snow back through into the lower Great Lakes. You can even see the onset of some snow back through Virginia right here. But what you end up seeing is that this slides out to the south. The secondary low pressure really doesn't develop, and we end up just seeing this get suppressed further to the south. So here's what the snowfall totals look like. Of course, we have those crazy amounts back through Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Wyoming. If you look at the rest of the system, it is still impressive back through into parts of Iowa, Minnesota, and eastern South Dakota. We're still looking at maybe over 6 inches of snowfall in some of those areas. But then look at this area. Yesterday was looking a lot more impressive, mainly because the high pressure wasn't as intense, but right now, we're looking at maybe under 1 inch to 3 inches of snowfall at the maximum. Now, let's look at another model. Here's what the GFS is showing, and you can see everything's shifted to the north. It doesn't have as strong of a blocking high pressure to the north, so that doesn't send it as far to the south. And in turn, we're going to see the system kind of just scoot around like this. We see some of that snow further to the north of that line right there. So for parts of Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, and also for a little bit of Indiana as well. And then back through the northeast, we see some of those snowfall amounts. And then again, we have those big amounts back through into the Rockies in that area. Here's what the storm impacts are according to the Weather Prediction Center. We have a major risk anywhere in the red area. And then even this huge area relative to this area, we have relative to this storm, we have a fairly big area of extreme risk in that purple. And I haven't seen this big of an area of extreme risk in quite a while. It's basically a triangle shape from southeastern Wyoming into a little corner of Nebraska and then back through northern Colorado there, mainly in higher elevations, but also even in some of those lower elevations, also getting in on that extreme risk. Either way, this is going to be a very big storm, and the Weather Prediction Center is only kind of showing that on their forecast. Here's what the Weather Prediction Center is showing in terms of their snowfall forecast over the next 3 days. So this only goes out through Monday morning. It does not include anything that happens back throughout this area. You can see that I put it on the 75th percentile. I find it more accurate than their 50th percentile. Usually their 50th percentile is a little bit too low, so I like to put it up to the 75th percentile, and I find that usually it does work actually a lot better than the 50th percentile. Either way, here's what they're showing. Anywhere in the dark blue or greater, that's where you're 6+ inches. As you get into the kind of the first shade of purple right back through here, that's where we're looking at 15 inches or more. You get into the reds, and that's where at least the dark red, and that's where you get over 2 feet of snowfall. And then if you get into the oranges, that's where you're at 33 or more inches of snowfall. That deepest shade of yellow is 48 inches or more of snowfall. So you can see this is a very big storm, and it has a lot of potential to bring a great amount of snowfall to parts of the Colorado Rockies, also for parts of Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. Here to be by Monday, and we're looking at from Monday morning to Tuesday morning. This is the shot of seeing about 2 to 3 inches of snowfall. We see that we have about a 30 to 50% chance, which is actually fairly high chance for their day 4 outlook over parts of Wisconsin, northwestern Illinois, northeastern Iowa, and southeastern Minnesota, and a wider area of 10 to 30% chance, which means that it could happen, but it's more likely that you see some sort of snowfall amount that's lower than that 2 to 3 inch threshold. Here would be for the day 5 outlook, and this would be for Tuesday, and we have a 10 to 30% risk for parts of southern and central New England, as well as for parts of upstate New York, northern New Jersey, and northeastern Pennsylvania. And that's mainly based off the morning guidance, but the afternoon guidance, which has come in, but they haven't updated their map just yet, is showing much more suppressed look, which means that I would assume on their next run, if the models stay fairly similar, that they would actually shift that down probably further to the south. So we'll have to continue to monitor this, because it does look like a fast developing type of storm, and the models have changed so very quickly that who knows, we could see maybe another couple changes just between now and the start of the system in parts of the Northeast and the Great Lakes. Here's what your upper air maps look like, and this is going to be a very, very interesting storm to look at in terms of the upper air. 2 areas, actually 3 areas that I want you guys to watch. This is your system right down here. So this is your first area right down here. The second area is this whole dome of high pressure, which is over the central part of the country. This is your second area to watch right here. And then this is your third area right here, back through into parts of eastern Canada and parts of the Northeast as well. So those 3 areas are where you want to watch. The second area, that red area, is where you have high pressure, and then the 2 blue areas, 1 and 3, is where you have low pressure in place, and that's where you have colder and also stormier weather in place. So this would be by Saturday morning. Watch how the system looks very, very impressive on the upper air maps. We're looking at a fairly intense, wrapped up low pressure system. We have somewhat of a good supply of cold air, but the only thing that could be better with this setup, and I think that could make it a lot better, is if we didn't have this annoying high pressure back through central Canada. This is what's really blocking any real true cold air. The cold air that we're going to have really isn't going to be too intense over parts of the Northeast and the Great Lakes, and the reason is because this is coming, if you look at where the cold air is actually coming from, here's what your jet stream flow looks like. It looks like this, basically. So we're seeing the cold air come down from parts of James Bay in Canada, off the water, back through Ontario, then back off the Great Lakes, onto the water again, and then finally hits the Northeast. So you're dealing with a lot more mild air relative to what you could have in this situation. So it's not really that intensive cold air. It's not the true cold air that you would get if you had this flow coming out of northwest Canada and then dip into the Northeast. We have this low pressure just a little bit too far to the east, so that's what's gonna mess everything up here. If this is actually how it plays out. So this is by Sunday morning. Here's by Monday morning, and what we actually see is that we had two vortices. And actually, if I go back one right here, you can see that we did have two vortices. We have one right here, one back here. We actually had a third one back up through Greenland. So we had two main ones that we want to keep an eye on, and these are going to rotate around. So this one's going to go to like this one's going to actually dip down a little bit further to the south. So here's what happens. You can see that first one went up to the north, but this one dipped so far to the south that now this is way too suppressed. This is way too suppressive of a pattern for the system to ride through. So you can see that the system is going eastward. It's going to head right into this big high pressure, and then it's going to slip out further to the south if this is what actually happens. And you can see that the low pressure isn't even noticeable on this next frame. By the way, it's right here. It's this little dip, or actually bulge in the jet stream, and that's your low pressure by that point. So really not impressive by that point if this is what actually happens. And of course, this is in no way guaranteed to be what's happening, because there are so many different variations, and every different model has a different upper air map and a different solution as to what may happen with this event. Here's what the Storm Prediction Center is showing, and kind of to transition over to the severe weather aspect of this. Here's your day one outlook. So for today, we have a slight risk of severe weather anywhere in that yellow for Oklahoma and into northern Texas. Here to be your day 2 outlook, and I was actually about to press record, and then I realized that they actually updated this just a couple minutes before I was going to click record. So luckily I did catch that, and they actually upgraded this. It was originally just a big area of slight risk. Now they have an enhanced risk right in between there in parts of northern Texas and into western Oklahoma. So it looks like it could be even more of a severe weather event. And then here would be your day 3 outlook. That was for Sunday, the last frame that we just looked at. Here's for that was for Saturday. Here's for Sunday right now, and we're looking at a slight risk and effect right around the Mississippi River in Mississippi and Arkansas as well, and then right through parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and into Tennessee. We have a marginal risk in place, and that would be for Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised if they expand that slight and marginal risk for Sunday as we get closer to that event. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.